Welcome back to the channel. It's WIZSPEK and I'm back at it. In today's video, we'll take a look at some strange and creepy TikToks that'll make you question everything. And if you're new to the channel, sub up and let's get it.
Of Victor Oladipo, who is the reigning two-time champion of the All-Star Weekend player talent show.
You are talented. I give you a little credit on that. A lot of credit. You're very talented. I mean, you're not a karaoke guy like me, but you can actually. You know they call me Old Brown Eyes, right?
As a matter of fact, you both have experience singing New York, New York. His was at the Slam Dunk Contest. Yours was in Vegas.
Yes.
We had the show out there. Here's just a little sampling.
See, I love to do karaoke. That's good, isn't it?
I know Shaq likes joking around, and for a second I thought he was trolling, but he was in that position for so long without even blinking. Ernie or Charles probably said some keyword that got him stuck.
What is this?
Is my last glue breathing?
I hope not.
Like, what the fuck is that?
Shh. Shut up!
Why is it doing that?
What is
can't
that?
put this shit on my eyes.
That was eyelash glue. Why was it moving like that? What is that, guys? I don't know what that is, but she's saying that was black eyelash glue. Like, I don't even know what this is up there. They're saying it's venom, but you know it's not because venom is not real. But this is what they're saying it is, guys. Eyelash glue. Why was it moving like that? What the? Shh, shut up! It looked like it was breathing. Like it was trying to take a breather. There's no way, because that's impossible. There's no way that can happen. What was that? We're gonna get to the bottom of this, don't worry. Yo, I ain't never seen that happen before. Trust me, I've been around some women that use black eyelash glue to put their eyelashes on. It's not a game. This video is for entertainment purposes only. I don't know what that is. I'm trying to understand and find out what it is myself. If you know what it is, guys, comment below. Let me know. I gotta go.
This thing looks like it has a mind of its own, like it may run off a girl's face and take the eyelash with it.
This is wild. Cognify is a new concept for prison reform where criminals would have the choice to choose between spending tens of years behind bars or instead opt to have AI artificial memories implanted into their brain. The idea is to treat criminals like patients and permanently change their brain chemistry by implanting these artificial memories so that when they re-enter society, they are a new and completely reformed person who mentally cannot commit any more crimes. The way that it works is that depending on the severity of the crime, AI would design these false memories to be implanted that would make the person more empathetic or in some circumstances make them physically and emotionally feel the pain of their victims and their victims' families. Even though this process only takes about 7 minutes, to the subject, it would feel like it had been years. Last year, the United States government spent $8.7 billion of taxpayer money on the prison system. This whole process would cut that spend significantly, and we could use that extra money on healthcare, education, and other technology advancements. Not to mention, you would have a whole new group of rehabilitation.
I'm all about saving money, but I highly doubt a prisoner would trade being their authentic self to becoming a human Tesla robot. Sooner or later, China will have to create some labor laws for those robots because that 24/7 hustle seems crazy. But if you have any idea what they're producing in that factory, let me know.
On the island, I saw him
Okay.
in the bedroom.
Can you explain what you mean by shape-shifting here?
Well, when I was in the bedroom with him, because he used to take me into that small bedroom, and it was always dark and really cold. And then It was almost like when he was or something. Like I looked at him and suddenly his face like grew like big like this, and then I saw these huge black eyes like this, and then a big mouth with this horrible tongue and like this sort of dragon horn stuff, which is like almost like the devil. But I just, I saw him turn into this horrible creepy thing, and I wasn't on drugs, I wasn't drinking alcohol, nothing like that was allowed. Like a lot of people think there were parties going on there. There weren't any parties. There was no alcohol, absolutely not allowed. Like, I smoked, but I had to smoke far away, and hide. And I had to wash my hands after smoking. And they were very fanatical. They did not like things like that. But I could have been drugged. I don't know, because again, when you're in a place like that, they could slip something in your drink, in your water or in your food. You just never know.
If half of what she's saying is true, then that mysterious list is never gonna come out.
You know the rest.
I scream, you scream, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, you know the rest.
Well, I scream, you scream, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, well, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, well, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, well, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, we all know the rest.
I scream, you scream, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, well, you know the rest.
I scream, you scream, you know the rest.
Mike Myers says, yeah, baby.
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 Mike Myers says, yeah, baby. Mike Myers says, yeah, baby. Mike Myers says, yeah, baby.
Mike Myers says, yeah, baby.
Mike Myers says, yeah, baby.
Mike Myers says, yeah, baby.
Mike Myers says, yeah, baby. Mike Myers.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless, especially on a birthday.
A child's happiness is priceless.
That's why you gotta take what the media say with a grain of salt, because they're all given the same script. That demon tried entering the wrong body. Buddy must have been prayed up.
I don't know how I was set up to be this involved with the spiritual world. When I go to sleep at night, I have to play gospel music.
To this day?
To this day, wow. Or I'll get attacked. And especially when I started meditating more, I felt like the stronger I became spiritually, the more I started getting attacked. These experiences have always happened to me since I was a kid. And I'm laying down on my bed. I feel something hella big start walking on top of me. I start crying. A deep ass voice.
It says, shut up.
I say Jesus every time, or I start praying, because that's my way of fighting back. You can't just say stop. You have to say, in the name of God and the name of Jesus, because that's the person who's gonna protect you. It's crazy when you're dealing with two different worlds at one time, because not everybody knows what it feels like to have a paranormal experience.
So weed is a lot more rooted in substance than I thought she was. This might have been a UFO, but it wasn't trying to be discreet at all.
Look what we have here. People think this spiritual warfare is not real. Look what we got here, right? I'm in Alabama, and look what we got. Satan's ugly ass goat, Baphomet. Baphomet is not Satan. He is the goat of Satan, like the Lamb of God, the goat of Satan, right? So they all principalities and deities that fall under the fallen angels, the Kemetic gods of Egypt. But look what we got here. Look what we got here. People think that spiritual warfare ain't real, man, and that this world isn't controlled by things that we can't see. Yeah, okay, all right. But the beautiful part about it is their time is up. Time is short. All praise to the Most High.
Let me try to find the name of that city so I know where not to go if I visit Alabama.
Okay, guys, I'm told that these are leaked videos and leaked images and leaked footage of actual beings. Now, when you see that, you're going to say, that's crazy. There's no way that's real. And, you know, it's probably not real. But it could be. And see, this is the thing. This is why when I see this and I get sent something like this, I don't just take it lightly, because we're told that these type beings do exist and that they are amongst us. Check out this footage and tell me what you think. Yes, exactly right. I mean, a lot of people would say, hey, look, that's a gray alien. Guys, I'm not seeing the slit in the eyes, and I'm told that if these are really the other people, we'll just say that since they don't allow us to use that word, since they protect them, that they don't have those eyes like that they have the pupils. Could this possibly be the ones that, the scaly people, so to speak? Could it be real? Leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Are they amongst us? Are they shape-shifting?
When God was given beauty, this fella did not come in the line for his portion, but he sure got a six-pack.
And it's having a major impact not only on the local economy, but the global economy, and certainly exacerbating hunger in places that are in great need of food.
I don't think they knew the camera was rolling though, but for a second I thought I had to leave this recording and go do some push-ups.
Okay, so y'all, I'm guessing that this is basically talking about the reptilians, because just look at this and then tell me what y'all think.
This moment. If we could see the cosmic shape of every choice we've made, would it look like a straight timeline? A staircase? A Mobius strip? I came here because my choice was simple. Live or die. I am an immigrant, a refugee. To survive, I had to be reborn.
Looks like a reptilian to me. Watch the eyes.
To evolve, I had to step into a new skin. Like Lazarus, I had to rise from the valley of shadows and become something more. Which brings us to the reason you're here. You came to answer the question the world's been asking.
The reptilian theory is one of the craziest ones out there, but when you see stuff like this, it just gives it more validation.
Let's get into it.
To go to outer space. Just like every other billionaire. I need to go to outer space. What's out in outer space?
Why y'all trying to go out there?
And they never make it. The rocket ship hits the firmament, and the firmament stops it. Ain't nobody been to the moon. Ain't nobody been outside this giant cage that we're trapped in. The firmament is real. This is why rocket ships take off and they start shooting at an angle. They'll scrape the firmament and they always land in the ocean. Then they shoot some grainy film that they were on the moon. It scraped the surface of the firmament, landed. It's only one day, but the landing is like a week later, but that's when they showed it. All the shit happened in one day. There's no satellites out there either. There's no satellites.
You know, Ferguson, they have so many compartments that break off when you go. So how does the ship the same when it lands? Yeah. Same as it takes off.
Or even the satellite.
No, there's no satellites. They are hanging satellites in the firmament. This is a GPS system. And that's the permanent GPS system. They call it space. But the space between Earth and God is called the firmament. And until he opens that up, it's going to be continued. Firmament. It's called the firmament. It's in the Bible. Nothing will get through the firmament. Flat Earth is real. Right? The world is not round. If it was, I could disprove this many times, but anyway. There's an ice wall around our three-dimensional world called Earth that lays on a two-dimensional plane. Right? But we're trapped in the center on this planet in an ice wall. This is why if you fly from anywhere on Earth to Australia, to Antarctica, why do you always have to fly to England? To make it seem like the world is round, you had to travel that far. From Florida to Antarctica is about four and a half hours on a straight shot. So why the fuck you gotta fly from Florida to London and then there? Anywhere you come from, you gotta go to London and London and then there. No, you're going to London because the reptilians there said you must come through there.
We have talked about the firmament so many times on this channel, but at this point, Elon got to give us a 411 on his rockets trying to get through.
4 incontrovertible proofs that we didn't go to the moon. Each one by itself would prove it in a court of law. Now, I'm a filmmaker. A filmmaker's job is to make fake scenes look real. They claim that on the moon it's 20 times brighter than a desert on Earth at noon because there's no atmosphere. So the last thing you would need in a picture on the moon would be electrical lighting. Because a picture I took outside in sunlight. You can do this yourself and you can see the shadows always run parallel. It's mathematically and scientifically impossible for shadows in sunlight to ever intersect. Impossible. Is a picture they claim was from the last, quote, mission to the moon, where an astronaut shadow is at 12 o'clock and a rock 5 feet away is intersecting at 9 o'clock at 90 degrees. That is an electrical light that is very, very close to those objects. That proves in a court of law that that picture on the right was taken with a very close electrical light, which means they're on Earth, which means they did not go to the moon. That's it. We just proved the moon landing was fake in one photograph.
NASA keeps writing with that story, hoping a lot of people don't know about the firmament, but when Buzz Aldrin said the moon landing was fake, that took the cake for me.
Do it bother you white folks that February the 2nd is Groundhog Day? You ask yourself, what's a groundhog? If the groundhog sees his shadow, what they say? 6 more weeks of winter? Can you believe you white folks can be that silly? With all them cameras out, when it comes out the ground, that thing couldn't help but see the damn shadow. And if the groundhog sees a shadow, 6 more weeks of winter. And to think, I wanted to go to school with you. When you get home, take out your calendar. Spring is March the 21st. Count from February the 2nd to March 21st. That is 6 weeks.
The crowd was having a good old time laughing, but he was giving gems for free.
Arrive, and we're going to hand the baton to Crew 10, and we are going to return to Earth at the end of a successful long-duration mission aboard the space station, performing that mission that we so deeply care about. And that handover will mark the continuation of a legacy that's been going on board the space station for 25 years. And so with that, we're happy to answer your questions.
Since when NASA got reporters giving news update from space? At first, I thought it was a portal opening up, but now with all the blinking lights, it might have been a gang of UFOs.
I was in the United States Navy. I held a top secret crypto level 14 extra sensitive material handling security clearance. I worked in the code room at the Naval Communications Station in San Francisco. In 1969, I received a priority message from a ship near Alaska that was classified as secret. The ship reported merging out of the ocean near port bow, a brightly glowing reddish-orange elliptical object, approximately 70 feet in diameter, emerged out of the water, shot into space, traveling at about 7,000 miles per hour. This was tracked on ship's radar and substantiated. These statements are true. I'm willing to testify under oath before Congress. Thank you.
So there were some guys who testified in front of Congress last year. So if this clip right here was truly from 2001, it came around full circle.
Y'all watch this documentary on Netflix. It's called The Lost Children. They were in an airplane crash with their mom. Their mom died. Military and some of the village people came out to the rainforest to try to find the bodies. They only found the mom. So they eventually figured out that the children were still alive. It was 4 children. The part that kind of stuck with me is that they couldn't find the children in the rainforest, but they knew they were alive. So their dad went out there to try to help find them. They ended up doing some type of ritual to call on whoever they worship to see if they would tell them where to find the kids. They got down to the 40th day in the rainforest and they were like, we're gonna leave regardless if you find the children, because this is the 40th day we've been out here. Right, so they had the dad drink the stuff they made from the rainforest to do the ritual, and it rejected the dad. The rainforest rejected the dad, so they was like, yo, you gotta go, you need to leave. I don't know what you were doing to the mom or to the kids, but this is why we're not finding the children. So he leaves the rainforest, right, and then they give one of the village men the potion that they made from the rainforest. He drinks it. They find the kids the next day. The rainforest was hiding the children from the dad.
You might as well forfeit your fatherhood if you get rejected by Mother Nature.
So look at this. You're in London, you're on a business trip, you're staying in Greenwich, and you want to buy some food. So you go into the local Aldi's, like this one, and you think, I'm going to go in here and buy some food so that I can feed myself. You can't even get in the shop without having a QR code to scan here or to scan here, and then you can go in and buy things. Now this looks to me like the beginning stages of the digital prison that we keep talking about.
After seeing this, I think it's just a matter of time all this implement this in the US.
This world that we live in could possibly be a stage. And I need to try to get to the bottom of it before I decide to have children. There's a song that the slaves used to sing. Swing low, sweet chariot, take me home. The slaves were singing songs about UFOs that they were seeing in the sky. How did they know that whatever they saw could take them somewhere? Imagine what they seen land in the time when there was no camera phones, there was no nothing. When I discovered what I discovered, I decided I wasn't going to have children because...
I grew up hearing that song in church, but if it was actually made by the slaves, then Big Homie CC might be onto something.
Look at this, y'all. Look, the road is completely cracked in half. This is in Australia. Now, the weird thing about it is this guy is looking in the water and he sees millions of tiny little fishes. But this is the desert in Australia, y'all. Yeah, the ground is cracked. Check this out, y'all.
Can people see this? Look at this. Look at the amount of fish. That's millions and millions. This is like... Where did he come from?
Exactly. He's in the desert. Let me go to the sirens.
This is, they're trying to get up. That's the fish there, look.
Look at the fishes. How do you have fishes in the middle of the desert? Oh man, the water is coming up. They've been telling us to watch. Look at the fish going across. They're going to the other side. Man, everything is changing. Saudi Arabia has changed. Now Australia is going through a change too. Look at all that water. Look at the birds. Look at the birds. They're going for food. But what is going on, y'all? The road is literally cut. Y'all, it's cracked. So yeah, man, things are getting a lot interesting. But do you guys see the changes that the planet is going through? Fishes under the desert? Wow. All I know is Age of Aquarius is not about that talk no more. It's literally showing us what's up.
Nowadays, this world is unpredictable. Maybe in no time, this desert might be a full-blown lake.
But now that I know, this totally look like big toes sticking out of the grass. Big toes? Yeah. Honey, you're walking on the giant's big toes. You better make sure he doesn't start wiggling.
I wouldn't be surprised if these are toes of a petrified giant because I just don't see someone building sculptures of toes just for the sake of it.
911, what's your emergency?
Can you please send the police? My sister just slapped me. We're arguing and she just slapped me out of nowhere.
Your sister slapped you?
Yeah, she did
How
just
old is
now.
your sister?
She's 17.
She's 17?
Yeah.
How old are you?
Me? I'm 21. You're going to jail, Haley.
So your younger sister slapped you and you didn't give her backhand slap.
What do you mean?
Why are you calling me?
Because.
Go and slap her back. Slap her. She's not slap her. So because if you don't slap her, she'll keep slapping you, and this is not sustainable. We cannot keep sending police every time somebody, your younger sister, slap you. So go back in that room and slap her back to Jesus.
That's it.
And she'll learn.
This dude, hands down, might be one of the funniest guys making skits online. Alright, that's it for the video. Thanks for stopping through. Let me know what you think of any of those clips in the comments below. But before you leave, smash the like button, sub up, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.